Okay, I guess I'll start then. Seems like people have stuff coming in more. So my name is Jesse Himmelstein, and I'm here to talk about RedMetrics, which is an open game analytics solution that I've come up with, and I'm happy to share. So just real quickly about where I come from, because the three of us, myself, Raphael, and Lojen, are all come from the same game lab based in Paris, called the Cree Game Lab. And so, since I organized the event, I thought I could take the opportunity to plug a little bit, right? It's allowed to do that, just for a few minutes, okay? The kind of stuff we do at the Game Lab, we make game engines. 2 years ago, we presented this, Redwire, on my t-shirt, which is an online game engine for doing mashups. We do biotic games, so it's pretty cool. That's based on a project in Stanford where they have algae that you can kind of scare with lights, kind of move around different ways, and you see it on an Android phone, and then you do image analysis to understand where they are, and then you can play soccer with them. Red My Way is a game to detect detect programming talents in autistic children. Children who might have autism so severe that they can't usually participate in like a normal, I don't know, like hospital lab experiment that they would usually do. And so we work with working with a researcher at the CNRS to do those kind of games. We do a bunch also of community stuff. So like we have this club called the Game Edier, right? That's also based in Paris. So we do like we have a summer school that we run. Well, we've run every year since 1 year, and we're hoping to run also this year. And the idea is to basically make scientific games by mixing a bunch of people together. So mixing game people, like typically students from the local, well actually not just from local game schools, but all over Europe, with science students, okay? To try to get them together over like 2 months to have them come up with some cool scientific games. We do a bunch of speakers and workshops. So Roma, for example, who presented earlier, for those of you who saw his talk on the flip paper, he had already come and present at the Game Edier before. And most of these videos are available, we have a YouTube channel, it's called. And some are in English, some are in French. We try to label which ones are which. And finally, we do a bunch of game jams also. And so right now, for example, for the Global Game Jam, we're doing a big event at the Cité des Sciences in Paris, right? Which you're here, which is really cool. I'm glad you're here. If you were there, that also would have been cool, because you also would have been at Game Edier. So anyway, so if you're in Paris, come by sometime. All right, that's enough about that. Game analytics. So what is game analytics? What are game analytics, I should say? So it's basically quantitative data about your game, okay? So it's numbers. It's numbers about how many times people are doing something, how long something takes, that kind of thing. And it's obviously not a replacement for like actually watching people play your game, but it's a really nice complement. So usually in production, you'd have like a time where you're both watching people play your game and having them speak about it, try to understand what they're thinking, how come they didn't go where you thought they were going to go. And then also you have data that can help you understand, oh, actually this is like a big problem, like no one's going that way, you know, it's an issue. So the kind of questions you might be asking that you can answer with game analytics are like how many players get through the tutorial? Or what items do the players actually use? Or is the level 3 actually easier than level 2? And that's not what I want. You can also help you to do that when you understand things that you're changing. Is it the video that keeps going out? I think my video adapter is a little quick.
You can use mine maybe.
Yeah, maybe it's just. Hold on a second. Oh no, PowerPoint crashed. Alrighty. That's good. See, I started early. It's good. Yeah, all right, back. All right, so you know, if you're familiar with like A/B testing, you can do that kind of stuff in analytics too. Or basically, you make a change in your game and you test what changes in the output. Are people now, because you changed the thing, you added a big sign to tell people to go to the right, are they doing it now? You know, that kind of thing. All right, so if you're going to do game analytics, you have a lot of choices. Okay, there's a bunch of services that already exist. I listed a bunch of kind of the most popular. You got GameAnalytics.com. Unity has their own. There's a bunch of other ones. There's also services, if you just have a web-based game, like many games that are web-based, you can use web-based analytic tools, so like Google Analytics you can use. Piwik is actually an open source web analytics thing. And that's kind of cool. You have to trick them to, to pretend that you're on a website, but you can do that. Or of course, you could write your own. And writing your own is exactly what a lot of people do. A lot of what also larger game studios do that. They kind of write their own. But why write your own when you can use RedMetrics, right? So RedMetrics is what? So it's open. It's open source. Otherwise, it wouldn't be here, right? But really cool is that it's open data. Okay. So I'm just going to insist on that a little bit. So the main idea is that as soon as you write data to RedMetrics, it's immediately available on the website. So everyone can see it. Okay, everyone can analyze it. And that's really interesting for a few reasons. Like, so one thing is transparency. So, with all the privacy things, we know that everyone's tracking us, and we know that our games are tracking us too, right? But we don't know what they're tracking. So there's always this kind of like cat and mouse game of, you have to try to figure out if they're finding out things they're not supposed to. Here you can track your players, and your players know exactly what data you're gathering, because they can check it out themselves. Okay? Also is that the data is available for anyone else to study. So like if you're a researcher and you want to understand how people react in a certain situation in the game, you can do that without having to write your own experiment, right? At least in certain cases. Of course, the downside is everything's public. So if a game stores something that identifies you personally, that's not good. And so we have a strict privacy policy for that. Okay, so why use RedMetrics? So basically, all the solutions that I showed you earlier are commercial. Some are free. But they're all commercial. They don't necessarily, the existing ones don't always work on internet devices in general. So what's cool about this is that RedMetrics is it's just a web service. So you can send it from a website, but you can also send it from anywhere else. You can send it from a console, you can send it from, you can send it from a native game, anything you want. And finally, you get all your data back, which is not the case with a lot of those commercial services. Issues where they can take the data, they'll take the data, right, because they want it. Then they can, make some pretty graphs for you, but you're not necessarily getting access to all that data again. All right. So it's not just for game developers. Scientists can use this kind of analytics tool. So this is a project that we're working on now to study creativity. So it's a kind of cool game where you have a bunch of blocks and you move them in space. And the idea is you can understand what shapes people, like you can understand kind of the thought process that people take as they try to make a certain shape out of the blocks. So it's a game, but really the data that you're gathering is actually used for the experiment. It's not so much to improve the game, it's to understand how people react to it. Educators can use it too, so if you have a game like in your class or something like that, and you want to understand if your players or your students are actually learning the thing that they're supposed to be learning, you can also use that kind of thing. So you could look it up with surveys, or you could just have people basically track how people are doing, see if they're, are they getting through levels, where are they stuck, and then you can insist on that point with your classes, if you're a teacher. All right, so what can we track with RedMetrics? There's basically two types of data. There's something called events, which are things, that's kind of the traditional thing. It's like something happening in a time. So like, you started at level 2, you died, right? You skipped the tutorial, whatever. You started again, you died again. You opened a door. It's that kind of thing. It's something happening at a particular time. And snapshots is a different view on that. It's basically you send the kind of the state of your game at a particular time. So for example, there might be, obviously this really depends on what kind of game you have, but let's imagine kind of a platformer game. Maybe you have the position of the player and the position of the enemies and how many lives they have left and how much time has elapsed, that kind of thing. And you basically, it's a little bit like sending a recording of like, here I am, here I am, here I am. They're very nice when they're used together because through the snapshot you actually can kind of recreate the actual state of the game, and if you write your game correctly, you can then actually replay that in the game. And whereas with events, it's a little easier to say, how many people did this thing? That kind of question is easier to answer. It's extendable, so we have it send whatever data you want. That's easy. Once again, you just can't store anything you shouldn't be able to. Okay, so to use RedMetrics, because now I've convinced you at this point that you really want to use RedMetrics, you have a few solutions. So, like I said earlier, it's a web service, so you can send data out from just using HTTP requests. So you can also just do that. To ease things a little bit, we added, we have some clients that exist. So we have RedMetrics.js, which is a browser-based client. So it's very easy to use. You use Bower to install it, and then you have a few calls and you're ready. We have a Unity client, called RedMetrics Unity. We have our game engine Redwire that I talked about earlier is hooked up to it. And like I said, you can do other things by yourself. So little demo. I wanted to show you how to use this in Unity. Okay, so let me get out of here. So this is literally yesterday. Okay, I came up with this demo. So let's see. Hopefully this is gonna work. So it took like the most basic example project in Unity, where you have a little ball that you move around. And my graphics card is a little screwed up apparently because it does some weird effects. I don't think that was what it was supposed to do. All right. So let's say in this very simple game we wanted to track the number of times that people go through that to start going up the ramp, just as an example. So the first thing we do is we import the package that we provide with RedMetrics Unity. So there we go, assets, import package, custom package. It knows what I'm going to do because I've done this demo a few times. I say import. Okay, you see my graphic card doing that? Here we go. Okay, so now it's imported a bunch of stuff. Okay, so we're going to have to create a class in our. We're going to have to create a RedMetrics manager, which is a game object. So I created a game object. Call it RedMetrics manager. Add a component and we search RedMetrics manager. All right. Okay, now we have that. Now, graphics card's doing this thing again. All right. And now we can just create the trigger. So probably the easiest thing to do is you just create like a 3D object and kind of put it in front of the ramp. So I'll do that. So game object. Let's take a cube. Now we have to find where the cube is. Come on, cube. Is it behind the ramp? Is that what's going on? I can't zoom. Oh, because I'm on game mode, so that's what's going on. Sorry. I'm not very good at Unity. All right. Oh no. Alright, there we go. Let's make it a bit bigger. Dimensions. So if I play now, I'll probably just run into it, right? Yeah, alright. That didn't work. So stop it, click it, and make it a trigger. And now I should be able to run through it. Let's check. Yes. So now the last step is to have it send an event to RedMetrics. Okay, going to go through it. So for that, I'm going to script. Script. Great. Alright, let's call it RedMetrics trigger. Oh no, not without a space. Load it up. Alright, now I have to remember the name of the first one. Oh wait, is it trigger enter? On trigger enter?
On trigger.
So this is all Unity stuff, right? This is not Other. And here we say RedMetrics. Is that RedMetrics manager?
Maybe wait a minute. Wait, scroll to the closing bracket.
Let's see. Okay, luckily I have this code set.
So there's no need.
Hmm?
There's no need.
Are you using a statement?
I'm using what?
Do you using statements?
I don't think so. I didn't need it before. Let's see what it says.
What's the message?
No, it did not like it. Oh no, this works. I swear it worked. I swear it worked. It's really weird.
Oh, you didn't save the script.
I didn't save the script?
No, this one, no, you didn't.
I also didn't add it yet. I just added. Oh, no, I added it. Okay. Well, normally you would take this cube and you add the script that we just did to it. The trigger script. But no. Alright, okay, that was a really bad demo. Sorry about that. I don't know. I'm not going to try to debug it now, unfortunately. So normally, normally what happens is it works. You go through the box, right, and then you go over to RedMetrics. So this is what the RedMetrics client looks like. Okay. So it's really simple right now. It's nothing too fancy. And you can pick a bunch of things. So by default, we have RedMetrics Unity as the example here. Pick it, and you can search and you get your data out. Okay. There's no graphs yet, but it's kind of simple. Here you can filter your data, so you can filter it by the date, you can filter it by information about the player, you can filter it by the type of the event. So here, in this example, I wrote, here we did a start event, but you can make whatever you want. It's totally arbitrary. There's no reason. You can also send the positions of things. For example, if you want to set the position of the ball at every point, that's no problem. All right. I have another demo. Let's hope this one works a little better. So this was a little project made by Lyndon over there. The idea is to try to track your motions using games. So before doing the game version, we're testing it without the video thing. So the idea is that over here, we hit start, and this thing recognizes my face. I don't know if you can see. And it tries to see like if I'm happy or if I'm angry. Sad is a little hard. It really depends on the person. Yeah, I don't know. That's not working. Okay, happy does really well. Angry does pretty well too. Like that, right? And then, so you're watching a video, you know, and it's really sad, and it still thinks I'm angry. But you get the idea. And then you would go down to another video. Oops. And you watch this one. And here you're grossed out. Surprise. Alright.
You should be happy with it.
This is oh no. We can just watch these videos. Actually, it's a really good selection. So you get the idea. So this data is also being sent to RedMetrics. So if we go over here, I'm going to go pick this thing we call the motion tracker. And so basically what it's doing is it's sending all this data as an array. How happy you are, how sad you are. And our next step is to try to integrate that into a game, so that when you're actually playing a game, it can track what your emotions are and send that with you. We want to do similar things with eye tracking. And so for this in RedMetrics, we're actually using the you can use an event, you can use snapshots. It's the same thing. So it's about kind of providing the state of your game, but also the state of your player at a particular time. All right. Okay. Let's stop the demos there. I have 1 out of 2 worked. So what's going on real quickly behind the scenes in RedMetrics? So wait a second. We're using, it's a Java-based web server. It's using PostgreSQL, and it has a small front end using AngularJS. Of course, everything's online, open source, new features that are coming. Like I said earlier, having a graph system would be really nice. Like right now, we should pop up graphs. We're going to do that. Have a way that you can try to do analysis directly on the website. I didn't say that. So on the website then, if you want to download, you can see the data in the array, and then you can hit a button to download it as a CSV. And you can import it into whatever statistics thing you want to do. But it would be cool if you could do that kind of stuff on the website, kind of like they do with Google Analytics and other analytics tools. The admin system is not great right now. It can really be improved. The performance is fine for sending events, but the snapshots, it can slow down if you have a big game state. So we want to improve that. And we want to add more clients. So we're working on an Unreal client now, and I'm hoping that other people making game engines will come talk to me and we can do a client for you. Obviously, like everyone else, I'm looking for contributors, Java developers, but also, like I said, game engine. Anyone doing game engines would be really cool. Or if you're making games and you want to put your game on RedMetrics, I'd be happy to help you do that. So in conclusion, RedMetrics is a good way to understand how your players are interacting with the game. Right? It's open source, it's open data, it's totally customizable, it's easy to use, and that's it. Thank you very much.
That's a very good project, and I had a question. question. You can host this yourself. Also.
Yes, yes. So it's an MIT license, and you can do whatever you want with it. So we host it, and anyone wants to use it, it's fine. If we have too many people, at some point we'll probably start limiting the taking that.
But you thought about kind of having pre-configured kind of triggers for Unity, for example, instead of having to manually.
Yes, yes. As we were preparing the demo last night, we thought this would be cool if we just did this for you.
That'll kind of help people to adopt it quite quickly.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah, especially like starting and stopping a game is kind of obvious.
Yeah.
But maybe also switching scenes in Unity.
Because then you can also kind of take a predefined one and just do your own basing on the example you already have.
Ah, yeah. That's a really good idea.
You don't really have to implement all of the possible combinations. There's like 3 different types, and then you just clone those.
Yeah, that's smart. That's really good. Is that your question?
Yeah, you said when you send a snapshot, the game time may be very long. Can't you send when you do snapshot, can't you define to send only part of the game state?
Oh yes, of course. You do whatever you want. We don't actually have a way, and that depends on the game engine. So when we did RedMetrics, since it's our own game engine, we have it send the entire state, and that way it's totally automatic. So in Unity right now, we don't have a way to send the entire Unity state, and it's still working. And it may be too big, also. But our strategy is probably going to be to use diffs, to take just what changed. Since most things stay the same between game states, just send the changes. Kind of like you're compressing. Is there a question over there?
Yeah, I'll try to be like a devil's advocate and ask maybe a little bit more uncomfortable question. Basically, what the RedMetrics does, so far I've seen that it stores logs for the events and snapshots you mentioned, and allows to search and filter for them. But there are like a dozen of systems out there that already does that. And what's the point?
I don't find too many, at least on the analytics side.
Elasticsearch, basically everything that logs any events, and it doesn't need to be connected anyhow with the game development.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, like I said, you can totally do your own. It's not. You're right that it's not insanely complicated to do. Right? We're basically storing data, and we don't know a lot about the data that you're storing. So we try to like make a few presuppositions about being able to search like where you are at a certain level, what level you're on, that kind of thing. And by making game clients that integrate in with your game, it makes it much easier than if you were writing it yourself. But obviously, there's no problem to write it yourself, and by writing yourself, you can make something really tailored. I guess the other major point of doing this is to have something that we can contribute all the data back. Right? That's sort of the point, kind of the open data part of it. I think is really cool. I mean, the idea is that anyone, if the more people use this, the more game data there is available.
The question was rather, why not use a more generic solution for collecting such data and just adapt it to games? I think that was what was meant by the question.
Oh, I don't know.
Making your own, of course, it's always an option.
Right.
I don't know about this, but perhaps there are kind of more.
I don't know. There might be other. There might be. I haven't seen any. When I was looking into the options for making games, I mean, this came out of us searching for a way to make game analytics, and I thought there would be an open source one, and there wasn't. So we're like, all right, so we'll make it. And we took the approach that to us seemed to make the most sense, which is this web service, which is also similar to what the other ones do, and other commercial services do that. Obviously, on a larger scale, right? But yeah, there could be other technical solutions to it, for sure.
Okay, can you elaborate more on how this open data works? So if anyone can download the server and install it on their own box, is there some kind of federation of the servers to exchange the data, or?
No, I mean, right now it's a kind of small thing. That would be cool to do later on. Right now it's just like a single server, a single database. Okay. Any other questions? Yeah?
For instance, I'm developing a closed game, a closed software, okay? Not only a game. Do I need to release the RedMetrics source code?
No.
Because on MIT license?
Yeah, MIT, first of all, is a really, I don't know what the word, loose license? I don't know. Liberal. It's a liberal license. That first of all, even if you integrated our code, it's MIT, that wouldn't force you to release your code.
So
in addition, if you're
I
just
can give-
using the server, there's no...
So I can give players the exec executable only?
Give players the what?
Can I give players only the, or it's only? I missed the first part of the talk. I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's no
okay.
problem.
I was thinking about the legal issue and policy about the version.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, I mean, right, yeah, I mean, it doesn't, to answer the first part of the question, there's no requirement that you release your code as open source.
And what about the data?
And the data, no, either. I mean, you could host your own, so you could fork our thing, or just download it, whatever. Run it yourself, and have your completely closed environment. It's just kind of, it's not,
Okay,
very cool, right? You could do it.
And in this case, what about transparency?
And then you lose all the transparency if
okay.
if you do that. I don't know. I mean, yeah. It's a choice we made to try and make something that's that people can use in the most number of ways possible.
It's also a choice you made.
Yeah, it's a choice
Okay.
we made, absolutely.
You made. Okay.
Do you have any cool projects that actually use this and have cool data?
Good question. Leading very nicely into, well, it's not the next talk, but when are you speaking of that?
June 30.
Okay, so he's going to be presenting Hero Coli, which is a very cool and beautiful game to teach synthetic biology. It looks much cooler than that. That might turn you off, but it's actually really cool. So you should come to his talk, and he uses RedMetrics. Otherwise, it's a fairly new project, and we're going to start trying to use it. Okay, maybe one last question then.
I might have misheard something, but I found that the emotional tracking tool really cool. Is that something that you're looking to ship as part of?
Oh, so
is
that
connected
actually you
to-
can just grab. That's not
That's
even
just
us who
separate
wrote that. Yeah,
Is
that's
that
a separate.
something you're
That's a
looking
separate
to
project
make
that we.
available,
What'd you say?
or is that something you're looking to make available? Or?
Well, that you can already get.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. The only thing we've done is made a version where it sends data to RedMetrics that we'll also put up. So if you're ready. But yeah, that's a really cool open
It
source.
is, yeah. I
Because
love the
there's not a
idea.
lot of. We were looking for facial recognition and emotion recognition stuff written in JavaScript. And there's not a lot. And that's actually one of the really nicer projects. Most of the other ones involve kind of server side.
Yeah, I do everything client web.
Oh, okay.
Canvas, so yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. All right, well, thanks a lot.